Hey, this is Sky. Welcome to my YouTube channel. So bad things are always going to happen in life. There's no way around that. You know, it's kind of a judgment, an emotional judgment when we say bad things as opposed to good things. You know, you don't want to parse words too much and get too semantically into it, but you have to realize that how bad something is depends really on how weak you are. I don't know if you've ever been through a murder before. I've been through a bunch of them. So many that I actually lost count after around 20. Some of them I remember more than others. I'll tell you about one I remember, just to illustrate a point about weakness, about how people go through stuff. Different people handle things different ways, and it all depends on how strong you are. It's important to build yourself up in order to be strong enough to handle the bad things in your life. So it was many years ago, more than 20 years ago, and I was living in the ghetto, the barrio, and a buddy of mine got shot. That wasn't an unusual scenario. That was happening all the time. I was getting caught up in murders all the time. So one of my buddies gets shot, but the thing was he only got shot in the leg. I remember him getting into the ambulance, and people were all standing around, and the ambulance takes him off. He gets on the stretcher, and he takes off. He's sitting up on the stretcher. He's holding his leg. Shit hurt, but it's just in the leg, and a lot of people around are just like kind of brushing it off. He'll be all right. He'll be all right. One motherfucker was mad that he was even going to the hospital. That motherfucker, that dumb motherfucker. How dare he go to the hospital? It's going to jeopardize, whatever. He's talking this shit about him going to the hospital. How he should have just toughed it out. It was only in the leg, being a pussy. People talk all that shit, you know. Well, it turns out the bullet hit a main artery, and he bled to death in the hospital, and he died that night. Nobody was expecting that. People went down to the hospital, and, it was after the fact. But people went down there, and a lot of people were crying. A lot of people were upset. People went over to his mom's house. He had a sister and brother, and they went over there, and I just remember a lot of my friends who knew the motherfucker were just horribly upset. I mean, crying, sobbing, grown men, sobbing, screaming at the world, "Why, Lord? Why him?" This whole "why does bad things happen to good people" thing. Why not somebody else? These kinds of things. Really just getting emotional about it. Some people seem like they were in competition, like the more you cry, the more you break down, the more you could show how your life was fucked up. I can't even go out the house. I can't eat. I can't do anything. Like these types of motherfuckers were trying to show that they were closer to dude or something, or that it was affecting them more. Or it was a weird type of game people were playing about how emotional you were getting. So the one person that wasn't emotional, that never cried, I never saw her cry, nobody ever did. It was talked about how strong she was, and it was there was conspiracies about it in some ways, and weird, I don't know why. I'm not going to get into why people talk shit, but his mom was tough. His mom never cried. His mom never showed that type of emotion. When she heard the news, she didn't break down on the floor, collapse, try to tear open the casket or attack the doctors or the cops. Or these are all actions that you may see happening, especially if you watch a lot of TV. But she was the hardest, strongest one out of all. And it was her son, her only son, that was murdered in the streets. And the reason why is because the mom was hard. The mom was a warrior. The mom had been a hippie in the 60s, fighter for many different causes, civil rights causes, equal rights for women causes. And she was a true warrior, had gone to jail, had been a part of, it wasn't like the Black Panthers, but it was like shit like that. And mom was hardcore. The mom was a warrior. She'd been through death before. She'd been through this type of loss before. She'd seen people around her get taken away. And she was able to, through her life of struggle and hardship, through the life that she had lived that was so difficult, she had created herself into a rock. So when the worst thing that could ever happen happened, her son gets taken, her son dies. No parent ever wants that. She could handle it. She was the only one that could handle it. Everybody else was like, well, she must not even love her son, or what's wrong with her, or coming up with all kinds of crazy shit. I told motherfuckers it's because she's hard. She's a warrior. You guys are all pretending to be gangsters. You're pretending to be hard. You're fake hard. That's real. You guys are all acting like little bitches and not realizing the reality of the game. She understands reality. And she's built herself up over time and strengthened her mental fortitude, her mental muscles. You guys out here just do push-ups and you're the weakest motherfuckers I've ever seen. It's her own son. You just knew him for a year, 2 years. She spit that motherfucker out of her. I'm not going to get too graphic, but you know what I'm saying? And she's able to go forward. She's able to be the strongest person in the room. People were going to her for strength. So this is how I think it's a good way to live a life, is to build yourself up strong enough to be able to handle the worst things that will happen, because the worst things will happen. They're going to happen. There's no way to avoid bad things happening. You can surround yourself with wealth. You can do everything you wanted to be the healthiest person that you can possibly be. Cover all the bases, write a list and be like, okay, what's it going to take to live a perfect life? And have everybody around me live a perfect life. Bad things are going to still happen. The worst is still going to happen. It's going to. And the question is who are you going to be? Are you going to be like that dude's mom? Or are you going to be all like those little fake hard bitches? Thanks for watching.